Marvel released an image teasing its upcoming post-Hellfire Gala event, the Trial of Magneto. It shows Magneto in a black version of his costume, magnetically manipulating what looks to be like some railroad tracks. No other details were provided beyond this image, but it looks like the Trial will be the classified title that was teased a few months ago when Marvel gave some PR about the Reign of X Summer 2021 timeline. Even though there aren't any explicit details or even hints regarding what this Trial of Magneto is all about, it's fun to speculate, and I have a few ideas about what it could mean. Magneto isn't exactly a stranger to being put on trial. He's been in front of an international court of justice at least twice before, once in Uncanny X-Men number 200, and then again at the end of the X-Men vs. Avengers miniseries. In both these instances of arraignment, he is being persecuted for his past crimes against humanity. Neither one results in a conviction though, as the first trial is interrupted by Fenris attacking everybody, and then in the second one, he's declared not guilty by some legal technicality. He totally manipulated the outcome of that sentence, but at least it sounded legit. During these trials, Magneto isn't his old villainous self, as it's during the time when he's turned over a new leaf and was an ally to the X-Men. Though, I'd be curious to see if he actually would let himself stay incarcerated were he actually convicted. There's no question as to whether or not Magneto should have been standing these trials in the first place, though. Of course he had to. When he's acting as a villain, Magneto is very much an extremist in his beliefs. To him, the ends always justify the means, and he's willing to fight for his version of mutant rights in very lethal ways. His first act of terrorism was to take over a military base and then to crash a bunch of missiles, all in the name of homo superiority. He then originated and formed the very first Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and then did other crazy things like plant nuclear bombs to blow up small countries and threaten pretty much every world leader with death if they didn't concede to his demands. He's sunk submarines and killed naval crews, and even destroyed a city by means of volcanic eruption. So yeah, he definitely checks the box of being a mutant terrorist, and his day in court was long overdue. When I think about the modern day concept of a trial for Magneto though, my mind asks the questions, well, what does he do to deserve a trial? He's been operating more or less with the X-Men and on the side of good for at least the better part of the past 10 years, so it's not like he's been actively waging war on humans anymore. He joined the X-Men around the San Francisco and Utopia era, and has pretty much been a recurring member on a lot of the various incarnations since then, although he often chooses to side with the more shadier X-Men allegiances. He partnered with Cyclops during the Schism and was part of the Extinction team, helping to break people out of prisons and whatnot. He also formed his own X-Men team to hunt down and eliminate threats to mutant kind, although that team didn't last very long. He's always been a radical, even when he's supposed to be a hero, so even though there have been times during his newly rehabilitated state of his life where he's done shady things like proactively hunting down anti-mutant terrorist groups, it's not really the kind of stuff that merits a big trial in the way that his own past terrorist actions did. So then, what's this trial even going to be about? Well, first and foremost, it's important to lay down the distinctions between this trial and his previous trials. Those trials were held in human court under human laws, but since he's now a resident of the mutant nation Krakoa, I don't expect this new trial to be anything similar to what we've seen before. This, I anticipate, will be something based solely on Krakoa and will be governed by the Krakoan laws. Krakoan society operates with a pretty digestible set of 3 major laws, which every mutant resident must agree to follow if they want to live there. 2 of them are pretty basic, like make more mutants, which just means have more sex, and respect this sacred land, which I think is just don't litter and stuff. The last law is the biggie, and it's the one that is most likely the one to be broken and tried for by anyone living on Krakoa. Murder No Man is in response to Krakoa looking to be a peaceful nation. It's kind of like an olive branch to humans, showing them that they just want to be left alone to their own kind, and that they'll do everything in their power to make sure their residents leave humans alone. It acknowledges the whole great power, great responsibility mindset, and it assures humans that mutants with superpowers won't be setting out to kill them anytime soon. Magneto has most definitely broken this particular law in the past, but it doesn't make sense that the Krakoan Council would suddenly decide to drum up his old dirty laundry like that for a trial. If that were to be the case, then they'd have to try like half their entire population on the same charge. There are hundreds of villains living on Krakoa who have killed innumerous humans in the past, and sometimes the heroes have killed humans too, so no one would really be getting off scot-free on this one. When the villains made their grand debut onto Krakoa, they were pretty much promised amnesty from their past crimes anyway, so it wouldn't be a good look for the Quiet Council if they suddenly decided to renege on that offer and start handing out subpoenas. I don't think that anyone's going to be wasting time by dredging up past crimes, and I don't think Magneto is going to be murdering any humans in the near future either. He's pretty much already sworn off any sort of mutant-human conflict after he dismissed Cortez's recent appeal to amend the Murder No Man law, so it's very unlikely to me that Magneto will suddenly fall back into his old terrorist habits. Even judging by this promo image, where it looks like he's doing something totally evil to a bunch of railroad tracks, I'm not buying that it's going to be something as obvious as him derailing a train full of humans that gets him indicted. We're way beyond something like that in terms of his sophisticated master plans by now. So instead, I expect this trial to be in response to something totally new and maybe not even Krakoan law related at all, and there are a few ideas about what that could be. To me, the biggest and most likely supposition is that this will have something to do with bringing the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver back into the X-fold. The only reason these two were canonically changed from being Magneto's mutant children into just being super-powered byproducts of the High Evolutionary was for the sake of the MCU. Making them non-mutants was a legal loophole to get around Fox owning the rights to pretty much every mutant since they all fall under X-Men territory. And through what I've seen, changing them into humans is one of the most fervently fan-maligned retcons of them all. But now that Fox is folded and the X-Men are back in the MCU playhouse, there really is no reason for this retcon to serve any purpose anymore. So retconning the retcon could be a way to reintroduce these two into the X-Men franchise and back into Magneto's life. Wanda is still a touchy subject for Magneto because even though she's like number 2 on the X-Men's list of worst crimes against mutants ever, she was still a daughter to him for many years, and I have a feeling that he's going to try to reconcile with her in some way. I could see him bringing them to Krakoa to take part in the Crucible and then killing them himself, only to force the Five into resurrecting them with some brand spanking new mutant DNA. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if he cut a deal with Sinister to manipulate their genetic structures and find a way to introduce the X Factor into them so that they can retain their abilities, but now officially, again, and for the first time, become mutants. I can see how this would create problems on Krakoa, especially since it would be like a perversion of the resurrection protocols. It's not exactly what Nightcrawler meant when he suggested make more mutants, and letting Magneto get away with doing something like this would set a very dangerous precedent. I personally would love to see Magneto take his children under his wing again, and I think him personally seeing to their assimilation into Krakoan society would be a great way to get them back into the X-fold in a dramatic way, even if it is through genetic tampering. Another theory is that Magneto won't be the only person going on trial this summer. This is the first promo image that we've seen of the upcoming The Trial series, and it just so happens to feature Magneto, but without any other details, there's no saying that it's going to be Magneto's trial alone. This series could very well be a series that explores what happens when mutants break mutant laws, and the ramifications of what comes from that. It could be more along the lines of a series that focuses on the council and of their decision-making processes and how they decide which deeds to punish and which ones to let go. When I think of mutants who have already been punished for breaking the new Krakoan laws, Sabretooth is the one who comes to mind first. He was the first mutant to be thrown into the pit after he totally disregarded the council's trust in him and went psychotic on the Krakoan nation's first mission. He was pretty much used as the example of what happens to people who break the laws in the worst case scenario, and neither he nor the pit have really been used effectively since. There are other mutants who, in my opinion, should also be tried for breaking laws. Omega Red comes to mind since he recently killed some humans, but I think he was being brainwashed by Dracula, so that's kind of an exemption, even though I don't think Red needs any brainwashing to kill humans. Selene also has been up to no good over in Captain America, and she's been causing trouble with the Power Elite and absorbing human souls. She was stopped and apprehended by the authorities, and they actually mentioned the Krakoan Council wants to have a word with her, so I was fully expecting this trial series to be about Selene. And if indeed this series is about current events and not just Magneto, but more so about the trials and tribulations that mutants go through in navigating Krakoan law, then maybe she will have her day in court too. Another theory, in keeping with that theme of this not just being Magneto's trial, is that this might be the first hint of the truth about Krakoa and Moira finally coming to light. Officially, Xavier and Magneto are the only ones who know about Moira's role in the grand scheme of Krakoa's formation, and even that Moira is actually still alive and just tucked away hiding in her dark place. It has been hinted that Mystique is also aware of Moira's involvement, though to what degree we don't really know. In my opinion, Mystique is going to be the catalyst of Krakoa's eventual downfall. She's not happy that Xavier and Magneto are refusing to resurrect Destiny, and Destiny forewarned Mystique that an event like this would happen and told her that when it does, she needs to burn Krakoa to the ground. I'm not sure if Mystique even officially does know about Moira, but she's a resourceful lady who was married to a precog, so I'm not unconvinced that she hasn't managed a way to find out about her either. My big theory is that Mystique is going to reveal Moira's existence at the Hellfire Gala, and then accuse Magneto and Charles of secret collusion and treason, or whatever she wants to call it. So in effect, I actually think that it's going to be Magneto, Charles, and Moira up for trial this summer. It's the only pairing that holds any real gravitas in the world of Krakoa right now, because the stakes would be so high. If they lose, or if people become disenchanted with them, then it risks all of Krakoa falling apart, since these people were the architects behind it. I actually think it could be very interesting if these three end up going in the pit for whatever reason, and kind of like a sweet irony if they are exiled out of the very paradise that they created. Of course, there's also the chance that this isn't even going to be a court-based trial at all. I could just be getting all caught up in semantics, and what's actually being teased here is some sort of trial of strength. If we go by the promo image as an indicator, then maybe he has to build a railroad or something. I'm not sure, but you get what I'm saying here. There's no judge or anything court-like here in the image. It really is just Magneto exerting effort into something. So all of this supposition that I'm making about his kids and Moira and other characters being on trial could really just be a lot of hot air, and this entire thing will just be Magneto working hard to accomplish something. I certainly hope this isn't the case though, because a trial of strength feels pretty dull just as a first glance, but since we haven't been given any information beyond this image, I mean, who knows? It could be something exciting, like he has to fight a gauntlet of Crucible contenders or something. I would personally love to see him and Exodus square off, because Exy has been talking a lot of smack about Wanda around the campfires lately, and I think that's something that would slowly irk and eat away at Magneto, even if she never officially becomes his daughter again. So those are some of my top theories as to what I think this trial of Magneto might be all about. I'm sure there are a lot of other theories out there, so let me know what you've heard or what you think about some of these ideas. Magneto on trial is a bit of a tired idea at this point, given his history with trials, but there is still a fun way for Marvel to spin it, and I hope that they do a new, fresh take on it. If you liked this video, then feel free to surf around my channel and check out more of my X-Men content, like reviews and rankings. You can also hit me up on social media or check out my website, where I usually upload pretty much everything that I do for your viewing pleasure. Thanks for stopping by today, and be sure to come back soon for more Great X-Mentations.